Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Inside. Today we're looking at the Galactic Empires expansion packs basic decks. So this is still sealed. As you can see, this is two boxes there sealed together. So let's tear into this and see what awaits us inside the Galactic Empires box. These were put out by Companion Games from New York. And as you can see, it's got some interesting art on it. Nothing there. There's a spaceship there. Alright, these are the Series 1 basic decks. These have been in storage a really long time. And they're not even sealed. They're just shut. They're just closed. Alright. Now there are different versions of these decks. As you can see, it says Series 1 Basic Deck. But I know that there are other decks because I have them, which we will do in different videos. For example, there is the Primary Deck Basic Deck A, which is a different version of this one. And then there's the Basic Deck B, and there is the Galactic Empires Deck C, the new Empires. And there's a couple others actually. There's a New Universe one. We're going to look at all these in other episodes, one for each one, so that we don't have to confuse everything. In the meantime, today we're looking at the Galactic Empires Series 1 Basic Deck, which came out of this box. So let's get into this. Now this is a very early version of the game before those sealed ones came out. So these are a little bit more primitive. The box is made of a cheaper cardboard. It is set up more like an old-time playing card deck with the cut here. And it's about the same size. Text is the same, should be anyway. So first we've got a rule book, and it's pretty straightforward, standard rule book. Pretty decent amount of rules. This game had a weird following, like it was pretty consistent with diehards. But you know, 24-page rule book with small text looks a little more intimidating than it really is. No layouts or anything like that pictured, but this is an early game. Let's see if it's got a date on it. Now, there's no date on it. The playtime is estimated at 1 to 2 hours, ages 10 and up. Number of players 2 to 10, 4 to 5 recommended. 1994. So let's see what we've got here. These cards are a little cheaper. They're not very glossy. They feel very much like cheap playing cards. I know that improved later because these are very thin, but that's okay. We've got a planetary shield, a doctor, Dr. Zoidberg, probe, an engineer. We've got a comet. We've got Kreebiz Clipper Frigate. We've got a small moon. That's no small moon. We've got a pincer destroyer. We've got an asteroid belt. Another Clipper frigate. We've got a tractor beam. We've got a forced retreat. We have a phaser refit, I can't read. Pulsar. A munitions plant that I can't pronounce the name of. It's hard to tell if you're pulling one card or two, honestly. We've got a Kreebiz light capsule. We've got the Kremeneric system. We got an Argonian Typhon heavy cruiser. A black hole. Another light capsule. We've got a fleet freighter, a shuttlecraft, a cargo boarding party, another fleet freighter, shuttlecraft, a large asteroid, Krebiz Claw heavy cruiser, small red nebula, Krebiz heavy capsule, transporter, a science officer, needs some Rogaine or something, a shield refit, breakdown, another transporter, we got a time warp, we've got a Bolar 4, another medium capsule, a Yectria Prime, we've got an Argonian Whirlwind light cruiser, which is pictured on the back of the card. We've got a small phaser eel, a base station, Argonian Sunspot frigate. Maybe that's what's on the card. I don't know. A fleet tug, Argonian Blizzard destroyer. I don't know if that destroys Blizzard or it's called a Blizzard destroyer. We got Space Dragon. Oh, we have an explanation sheet of the points, what the symbols mean. Well, that's real handy, actually. We have a plasma field, an ion storm, and a small phaser eel. So not a bad little assortment of cards. They are kind of cheap quality out of this deck, the Series 1 basic deck. This is early on in the game's history though, so they were coated better on the back than on the front. You can feel it. And the cards are pretty thin, but this was a pretty popular game among certain players. It had a very loyal fan base, and it did come out with several booster sets. You had the Primary Edition boosters, the Universe Edition boosters, the Time Gates boosters. There was a set of boosters specifically for these, and there was Piracy, and another one whose name is Persona. So there's, yeah, Time Gates. There was the Psychic Wars one, Piracy, Persona, Universe, Primary Edition, and the ones that came out when these came out. So there were plenty of cards to go around in the event that you wanted to expand on this. And this one, the starter came with 50 cards. The game mechanics are pretty decent, actually, from what I heard. Some people complained about certain elements, but this was a very early collectible card game. This was from '94, so it came out a little after Magic. Somebody trying to jump in on it. Companion Games did a pretty good job with what they had to work with. These cards definitely need to be put in protectors if you're going to play this, though. You can find the decks online, maybe not this exact one, but the later ones, the primary decks A and B especially, they pop up on eBay all the time, and they're usually between $5 and $10 a piece. You will need 2 decks to play, 1 deck per person. I'd recommend just drafting that way without using any of the boosters. The boosters tend to cost you more. Piracy and Persona are real hard to find, and they are very expensive when you do find them. Time Gates and the Psychic one, whose name I've forgotten already, Psychic Wars, I think. Those are more common, but they're still expensive, and sometimes the boosters will cost you more than the starting deck. So if you're interested in this one, I recommend just getting some starter decks to begin with. And if you really like it, then go for the boosters, because the boosters are pretty expensive. But that's what's in the Series 1 basic deck. I have 2 boxes of these things that I'm excited about, because now I can talk a bunch of my friends into playing, and they don't have an excuse because I've got all the decks. So that'll do it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope to see you next time on What's Inside.